All right, House of Payne fans, let's talk about this week's episode, Season 11, Episode 8, entitled A Payne-ful Interview. 8 out of 10. I thought this was a pretty decent enough episode. I don't really have that many complaints. Believe it or not, one of the few, if only things, I don't want to say complain, but it's more like I was curious to see if Ella was hypocritical, because I think even the B story with Malik and Lisa was actually pretty good. But I want to go through this episode, and maybe after going through my notes, basically, I guess you could say almost like a second viewing of the episode and talking about it out loud, I might be able to decide whether or not how I feel about Ella. But of course, as always, let me know what you thought about the episode in the comment section below. Hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video, and hit subscribe. So let's get into it. So basically, the episode starts with Calvin helping out Curtis, basically going through his email inventory, because I really like the dynamic of Curtis and Calvin here, just because as somebody who does social media and, knows computers basically for a living, obviously with YouTube and whatnot, yeah, it's pretty common for me, like when my parents like, hey, I need to send an email or I need to do this to, get help on it. And basically, Calvin calls out his dad for, complaining about not having any orders for his sauce, but he has quite a lot of emails just sitting there with people who wanted to order it. And again, as somebody who does eBay as kind of like my second job, I know it's important to check my email so many times in a given day, because you never know when somebody makes a good offer on an item you have, or if somebody wants to just buy from you directly as opposed to eBay or something along those lines. I got friends who, hey, I see you list cards. Do you have an extra one that I can just buy right off the rip from you? So yeah, you need to pay attention to your inbox. And, instead of learning, Curtis wants Calvin to do all of it himself. But as soon as What's Hot in the A comes into the conversation, basically a hit show in the Atlanta area where if you get put on there, typically your business is going to be booming. Especially, if you make one heck of a good impression. So Curtis is excited. Calvin gets on the phone and arranges everything, pretending to be his manager and, basically spinning how busy Curtis is. So in 3 days, they'll be doing the interview and they got to get ready for it. Now, I'll talk about the Lisa and Malik stuff separately, since Lisa and Malik were pretty much, separated from Ella, Curtis, and Calvin the entire episode. They have like a dress rehearsal for the interview, but yeah, to be blunt, it really doesn't go well. Because Calvin is trying to coach his dad on some questions. And as somebody who was a communications major, advertising public relation in undergrad, and I got experience in internships and, pitching ideas and things like that, and social media and website building, I just really love what Calvin does, because I can relate to it so much from, school as well as what I do now for a living. So I just really like the fact that, when it comes to teaching the older generation about how to properly conduct themselves in an interview format, or, get their business off the ground, you do your research and you break it down in a way they can understand. And again, I got to do the same thing. So I really love that. But, his dad doesn't really want the training because he's, dead set on being able to handle it himself. But Ella and Calvin make a, good point about how you need this training because, Dad, you can't just get up on camera and be yourself. You heard me, tear that ass up, wipe me down, all that stuff. And even Ella says, yeah, it's like, you got to be careful. And Calvin makes it clear, I don't want you to get canceled, and anything you say can easily be turned against you and spun. And he's like, they can't cancel me. And Calvin is like, Dad, it doesn't just work like that. It's like, you're mad. It's like, you can't get canceled. Yes, you can. So what I loved about this, and again, this is just the advertising person in me, the way Calvin was like, how many balls you sell? I don't know. No, just say too many to remember. Or, how long have you been in culinary school? Did you do school or anything back in the day? Oh, I've been in the kitchen all my life. And this is the part where Ella has me going, okay, Ella, I know you Christian and whatnot. She doesn't like all that. She thinks it's lying. It's like, Calvin's like, no, it's just spinning it because you want to make sure you get the message you want out. And in terms of advertising, yeah, that's how it works. Remember, I went to Liberty University, which was a Christian school, but the thing about it was, in terms of my education in those communications classes, I had professors who worked in the field. They were news anchors. They worked in big advertising firms and whatnot, at one point in their lives. And they make it, pretty plain and simple. It's a dog eat dog world out there. I know that liberty is about Christian values and whatnot and not, stabbing each other in the back. But when you get out there in the real world, it is a dog eat kind of situation. That's not to say every business, every job you apply to is like that, but that's how it is. Not everybody has that Christian bubble that seems to be the thing about liberty. And I really appreciated that. And it's just basically it's like politicians or any celebrity. When they're in a controlled environment, they can get the message they want out to the masses, especially before the days of social media where you didn't have access to these people 24/7. So Ella just feels like spinning is sinning, and that kind of just, I don't know. I felt like that was a bit forced because it kind of contradicts what happens at the end of the episode, but it sort of doesn't. But a phone call comes through, and the interview is now in 2 hours instead of 3 days, and it's going to be live, it's very realistic for job interviews, business meetings, what have you, to get rescheduled kind of last minute. But to have it happen that dramatically, instead of 3 days, it's 2 hours and it's live, I feel like that's a bit unrealistic. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I mean, it just feels a bit, okay, well, honestly, we can't have the story go on for 3 days, so we need to bump it up faster. I didn't feel too crazy about it. So after some discussion, because Curtis couldn't be on the microphone by himself, he definitely needs somebody to kind of ground him and make sure he stays in line. Calvin says, no, they know who I am. Well, they know my voice already, so it wouldn't look right for a manager to be right there with the boss, if you will. So you need somebody else on camera. Even though I do think Calvin would have been a better fit than Ella, but that's just my opinion because, like, Curtis said, he's camera ready. Ella was like, what? Baby, he knows how to answer the questions and whatnot. I'm like, well, he's not wrong about that. And, I mean, that's usually how it goes. Like whenever a celebrity or somebody is, in an interview or whatever, their PR person's either off to the side like Calvin was, or hell, they might be right behind them on camera. You just never know. But Ella agrees to be on camera with Curtis, but she refuses to lie because, we know spinning is sinning. All right, so the interview starts, and to be blunt, Curtis is bombing. He is nervous. He's really not able to answer the questions well. And hell, the guy doing the interview wanted to just cut it off until Ella, out of nowhere, just started acting like Curtis. Oh yeah, I'm Mrs. Sauce Boss, wipe me down. And then after, some Curtisisms, if you will, basically the things that they told Curtis not to say and do, Ella was doing, and then Curtis finally was able to get the confidence to, really put himself out there. And as a result, their interview was amazing to the point where the guy had to like, hey, let me cut it here. I got more than enough. This is great. And that's it. And then as soon as it's over, Curtis is happy, and then he thanks Calvin. It's like, no, thank Mom. She the one who did it. And it's like, well, hey, I just wanted to make sure that, everybody got to see my Curtis the way I see him. And I'm just thinking like, but that literally goes against the whole Curtis, don't go over there to be your usual self. And there were some moments where he did kind of cuss out of nowhere, but, Ella kind of reeled him back in. So, I don't know. It just felt a bit weird. But I'm glad the interview went well. And that was the whole storyline of Curtis. But this is one of those, well, damn, where's Floyd? I mean, Floyd is his business partner. So, if nothing else, Calvin should have been the point man, making sure the emails went through and setting up the interview. But Floyd should have definitely been in this episode. That's honestly what I think, because I feel like him and Curtis in this interview together would have been gold. But that's just my opinion. So, yeah. So, since I'm at the end of that storyline, do I feel like Ella was being hypocritical a bit? I guess, but then again, it's not too much to diminish the episode. That was the only kind of thing that kind of tarnished it for me. But other than that, it was cool. All right, now let's get to the Lisa and Malik stuff. So again, we don't see the baby, but we do see the baby Melissa being, you know, coddled by her mom and dad at different points of the episode. So Lisa wants Malik to be more like Ralph Tresvant and be sensitivity, a man like me, because she's watching like a chick flick and she wants him to be more open and sensitive and vulnerable with his feelings. And he basically is like, well, babe, don't I do that already? Like, you know, I help with the baby, I rub your feet, I listen to you, with that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I want more. Okay. The gist of it is, instead of letting Malik, you know, sit down and watch a game, because I'm guessing he either got off work or got home from school, she wants him to take care of the baby because at the core, she just wants a break. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you could have just said that. So Lisa actually leaves at one point to get some diapers because she's trying to just watch her movie. And yeah, she leaves to get diapers and other baby stuff, and then mentions getting her nails done. Wait, you talking about a couple hours? I thought you were just going to the diapers, you know, the store to get the diapers. Well, I'm still on my break. And then he's like, wow, okay, you're going to do me like this? So he actually catches a glimpse of the film, sits down, and starts watching it. Then by the time Lisa comes back, Malik's in tears because he actually watched the movie twice already. Once the first time it was on, then he watched it again with subtitles. So they both basically looking at the subject in the movie, it's one of those things where, you know, the man should have just let the woman follow her dreams and support her. That way they could have been a happy couple. But essentially, they realize they both need to be more sensitive to each other's needs. And they'll watch it a third time together. You know, they're just going to sit back instead of, you know, letting... Well, actually, Lisa was going to let Malik watch the game, but he thought, you know, when she said being sensitive to his needs, she meant, you know, well, she meant sex, but he was like, oh, okay. Well, instead of the game, let's watch another movie together. What the same movie together, what, for a third time? Yeah, third time's the charm. And then after that, we'll watch Jason's Lyric. Yeah, you know what? The main character looks like your dad. No, I think it's light skinned. They just look the same. And I think that was an interesting wink and nod at the audience because, you know, Alan Payne starred in Jason's Lyric with Jada Pinkett. Yeah. All right. So then the stinger at the end of the episode was Malik and the baby watching The Wiz. And Elisa says, you know, she's too young to watch The Wiz. And it's like, oh, you're never too young for the classics. And then he starts like, wait, are your eyes tearing up? No. Stop being so sensitive. He was like, what? So, yeah, again, this was an interesting B story. It wasn't too major. It wasn't too, you know, like, oh, man, Lisa's being, you know, overbearing. No, not at all. I thought it was an interesting story plot. And just seeing these two have a moment to get to, you know, bond more is always good to me. I don't really see any issues with it. But, yeah, like I said, 8 out of 10, decent enough episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I will talk to you in the next video.